thanks for joining us today, everyone. It's hard to believe that Oshkosh is a little less than 2 weeks away, and I imagine you're all as excited and ready to be here as we are to get the show going. And first and foremost, thanks again for volunteering yet again this year. I'm not sure if many of you got the opportunity to meet me last year. I know many of you have worked closely with Michelle over the years, but we've kind of combined forces with the chapters and Young Eagles this year, seeing as the Blue Barn is such a joint facility, as well as the EAA member center. So since this year is a little bit different than years past, obviously only the second year for the Blue Barn, so we learned quite a bit last year and wanted to apply those learnings to this year. We thought it would be good to just get everyone on the same page before they get here to Oshkosh. Obviously, we'll be around all week to answer any questions you guys have, help you along the way. And again, thanks for signing up to volunteer this year, and we'll get this thing rolling. So here's the agenda for the items we're going to cover today. We'll talk about where you can pick up your volunteer credentials, some changes to the convention grounds this year as it pertains to getting in and out prior to the show. Just some of the basic volunteer expectations, a day in the life of a volunteer. And then we'll also go over the basic layout of the EAA Member Center and Blue Barn. And then, of course, answer any questions that you guys might have. So first and foremost, credential pickup will be the same as it has been in years past for those of you that have volunteered with Michelle before. It'll be at the will call window, which I'll pull up on a map here in just a moment. Will call does open on Saturday, July 21st. You do not need a wristband to get to will call, so no worries there. Just provide your name and that you're a Blue Barn volunteer, and they should have your volunteer packet with your wristband, your shirt, and some other volunteer information within that packet. Some of the things we'll cover today will actually be in there as well. So if you're looking at the map and you're looking at the main admissions gate, the will call window is located on the left-hand side. If you were facing the main gate, it's what they call the North Main Gate Admission Building, is just what many of the volunteers in that area call it. So that's where you'll be able to find your stuff. So pre-convention grounds access. This is brand new this year in an effort to help keep attendees safe, keep those setting up some of the exhibit areas safe, and allow for easier coordination. There is a restricted area that will be going into effect from July 19th through the 22nd. The restricted areas include the exhibit hangars, the outdoor exhibits in that same area, as well as Aviation Gateway Park. To get into these areas, you must have a lanyard credential. And there will be no personal bikes, carts, or scooters allowed through any of the gates, which I know we've been a little lenient on in the past, but it sounds like they're going to be a little bit tougher on that this year. So to kind of visualize that, you'll see the restricted areas, everything highlighted in yellow here. You'll notice that, coming through the main gate, it's nearly impossible to avoid any of the restricted areas. So, if you are planning to come through at any point to get into the grounds and you're staying in Camp Scholler and you want to venture down and watch the arrivals, departures, maybe wander over to the Blue Barn, we recommend that you enter at the admission gate between hangar D and B, circled right there on the map near the F lot. You should be able to follow the perimeter of that restricted area up to Knapp Street. Otherwise, there are some vehicle gates that they may let some pedestrians through, such as the one right near Theater in the Woods, or some of the gates near the bus park just north of the admission gate. This is brand new for us this year, so I'm sure it'll be a learning experience for everyone. I've been learning about it as we've been going along, so we'll see how it goes, but hopefully it makes setup a little bit smoother for everybody involved. So volunteer expectations for the group. As I said, last year there was a bit of a feel that there was the chapter member volunteers and there was the Young Eagle volunteers, and a little confusion of who was, chairman of which group and who was going to handle entering volunteer hours and ordering meals and picking up meals. So after the convention last year, we thought it would be in the best interest of the facility, the volunteers, and everyone involved if we just came together as a group of one. So we're, currently calling ourselves the Blue Barn Volunteers or Blue Barn and Member Center Volunteers, since that's where we'll all be at. The chairman of this group is Ted Kirkpatrick. He was the chairman of the Blue Barn last year. Mark Holzer will be our co-chair. Mark's going to handle a lot of the input of volunteer hours. I'm sure many of you know Ted and Mark and have volunteered alongside them. Last year, the chapters area, it was one of our first times that we had to do an outreach to get a number of volunteers to help staff some areas. And Elliot Halliburton and Terry Cusack were two of our main volunteers last year that have volunteered to return again this year as what I'll call chapter leads. They're going to be there to, help people out, answer any specific questions on chapter things. We understand that, almost every single one of our volunteers is highly involved in chapters and, is highly knowledgeable in all those areas and is out in the field doing all these things. But again, just because Elliot and Terry were very involved last year, we figured it would be helpful to have them on hand as, again, maybe a lead for the chapters area, so you have a volunteer go-to. As far as expectations, we just expect the volunteers to be able to discuss the Young Eagle and chapter programs. No need to be an expert by any means, just kind of high-level overview stuff. Again, we know that you guys are out there doing these things month in and month out, and you probably have a better approach to the majority of the questions that the attendees are going to have anyways. So, use your liberty and, go ahead and talk about what you guys are doing. We're going to try to keep the congregation at the central desk to somewhat of a minimum this year. We are going to have a couple people staffed there, but the desk area is going to be a little bit smaller than last year. So staff members and volunteers alike, we're going to try to do our best to roam the building and chat with people rather than hang out there too much. Obviously, if there's a number of people up there asking questions, we'll have a good group up there, but we'll try to keep that in mind. If an attendee asks you a question and you don't know, feel free to say so and find someone who does know. The volunteers were fantastic about this last year, but we figured we'd just throw that in there again. And, it always helps to escort the visitor to the next person who may be able to answer that question. So there's kind of that nice little handoff there. So again, nothing you guys didn't probably already know or probably already do, but figured we'd just throw it in there anyways. So a day in the life of a volunteer, we broke this down into the morning shift and the afternoon shift. For the morning shift, we asked that volunteers arrive 15 minutes prior to the shift just to give time to sign in, check area assignment of the building and things like that. The shift then begins at 8:30 and runs until 12:30. All morning volunteers will receive lunch. Michelle has already ordered those, so we're set to go there. The afternoon shift, we ask that you arrive, again, about 15 minutes prior to sign in, check your area assignment, which we'll talk about in a moment here, and begin your shift at 12:30. And then 4:30 is when it's all said and done. A lot of the staff members, or some of the staff members, I should say, will probably be on hand till about 5, just helping button up. So, if you want to stay an extra 15 minutes and help, you're always welcome to, but by no means do you need to feel like you have to. You're off to go explore the grounds, get a bite to eat, and do what you got to do. So I believe Michelle did send out the schedule already. If not, she should be sending it out very, very soon. But you'll notice we have 2 different areas specifically listed on the schedule. It's the EAA Member Center and then the Blue Barn. So first we'll talk about the Member Center, where we'll have a couple of volunteers. The Member Center, for those of you that got a chance to stop in there last year or volunteered in there last year, is going to be set up nearly identical. We'll have a chapters booth in one corner, a Young Eagles booth in the other. And for for those of you that have not been to the Member Center, it's located at what they call the EAA Four Corners, just off the west ramp or the Boeing Plaza there. Located just south of the control tower. Inside the Member Center, like I said, same layout as last year with the Young Eagles desk in one corner, and then in the other corner we'll have a chapters / IMC VMC club desk. There will be some IMC VMC club volunteers there, I presume, to help answer those questions specifically. We are going to try to have a minimum of one volunteer per desk. Again, this is a place you'll probably get more high-level questions about the programs rather than specifics. That's kind of how it seemed last year. You might get questions about starting a chapter or becoming a Young Eagles pilot, or how to get the kids to get their first Young Eagles flight, as I'm sure you guys are used to. Feel free to direct them down to the Blue Barn for more in-depth things. That's always appreciated. And then over at the chapters desk, we'll have a chapter screen with a printout to help people find their local chapter. So you'll be able to pull it up on a screen, select the chapter closest to them. It'll show the contact information, and you can print that out and send them on their way with information to find their local chapter. In addition, both desks will have various handouts. At the chapters desk, we'll have some handouts regarding some new chapter programs, Flying Clubs and Flying Start. And then at Young Eagles, we'll also have the various Young Eagle brochures and pilot guides and things like that. So now to the Blue Barn, the real meat and potatoes of the two program areas, chapters and Young Eagles. So we're here's an overhead view of the facility. North is oriented as up in this picture, with the main entrance being there on the right-hand side. You'll notice very similar setup to last year. Some things are located in new areas, and there's some different talking points that we've included. But one of the ideas that Michelle Coons and John Egan and I discussed was, do we split the barn into 3 different areas, just to maybe better, allocate personnel, whether it be volunteers, staff, whoever, so you don't feel like you're responsible for too large of an area. So we're going to try this year. We'll see if it works, or if it doesn't work, I'm sure we'll find out by Monday or Tuesday how it does work. But we are going to have 3 sections of the barn. We'll have the north side, the center, and the south side, and you volunteers will be assigned to different sections of the building. Of course, that doesn't mean you need to be glued to that exact area. If you see someone in a different area that needs some help, obviously go ahead and head over, chat with them, see what we can do for them, or whatever you guys feel is necessary. Michelle and I sat down and tried to get people in the area where they'd feel kind of the most comfortable. Again, we don't expect anyone to be a expert in anything by any means, just enough knowledge to talk to some people about it, and again, share what you're doing at your local level. So real quick, we'll go around the barn and talk about each area, just so you have an idea for what the talking points will be. So we'll start in the what I'll call the northwest corner here, where we'll have our Chapter Resource Center, same location as it was last year for the Chapter Resource Center. Main highlights over there is we're going to have a couple of different handouts. Well, the 6 main ones we'll have will be about managing your chapter, insurance and risk management, chapter programs and activities, resources from Oshkosh, growing your chapter, and then some information on chapter gatherings. These will be great. You can encourage people to take these off the wall. Feel free to take one yourself and read through it, see what maybe you didn't know you could do for your chapter, or find out what you might want to talk about throughout the week. We're encouraging everyone to go to eaa.org/chapter resources to learn more. And we're also going to have some pens available with that same URL on there. In addition, we'll have the same kind of setup as last year, where we had the plans for the EAA workbench and pancake cooker and stuff like that. So you'll also find some of those documents within this area. Next is our join a chapter and start a chapter section of the barn. We realized last year we probably didn't highlight this enough, and we received quite a few questions. So we will have a small area dedicated to how folks can join and start a chapter. For finding a chapter, we'll have an iPad on a stand there that people can fill out with just some basic contact information, and we will then email them information on their closest chapter. If they'd like to go to the website, they can go to www.eaa.org/find-a-chapter. That'll also be posted real big on the wall there, so that'll be hard to miss. For starting a chapter, we'll have the same idea. The same iPad will be on hand that people can use to fill out. And then EAA will send them information on forming a chapter, some of the steps, some of the requirements, things like that. Just so you guys know, if someone is interested in starting a chapter, some things to mention is you'll need at least 10 EAA members. You are officially chartered by EAA, all those sorts of things. And again, you can encourage them to fill out that form on the iPad, and we'll send them all of the information. We'll probably even give them a follow-up call following convention to help them out. So the chapter map portion of the building is going to be essentially identical to what we had last year. Here's a picture of the map with all the pins stuck in it. So it'll be the same thing. Folks can come in and write their chapter number on a windsock and pin it in the map where their chapter is located. We'll also have the windsock there as a photo opportunity. So, definitely encourage people, if you're in the area of the map, to have them fill out a windsock and pin it to the wall. While you're over there, we do ask that you keep an eye on the windsock supply. We might have to get more put together. We'll have the supplies sitting on the bench right next to the map. You'll see here the map in the background and the bench right next to it. So that's where you'll find the supplies to make more windsocks. So don't be afraid to put them together. They're just some triangular stickers that get put on some pins. And then you can just stick them right in that foam ball there, and it should be pretty simple. So now transitioning over to the Young Eagles quarter of the building. This is our Young Eagles / Young Eagle flight plan, youth protection, as well as the logbook area. Again, a lot of this will be very similar to last year and things that a lot of people are very familiar with. We'll highlight how people can become a Young Eagle volunteer, some of the pilot requirements, the fact that you have to be an EAA member, carry your own passenger liability, obviously be current, VFR only, etc. We'll also highlight the flight plan again this year, which of course includes the Young Eagles flight, the subsequent student membership, the Sporties Learn to Fly course, the first flight lesson for free, and then some of the scholarships. And then we will again have a computer and some forms on hand to complete youth protection, and then hopefully access to the logbook again so people can look through that. Moving over to the southeast corner, we're going to be highlighting flying clubs. Now, one thing important to note about flying clubs, even though this is in the Blue Barn, the home of chapters and Young Eagles, this is a new initiative to help chapter members and EAA members form flying clubs. But if there's anything that you can let people know about flying clubs, it's that they must be a separate legal entity from the EAA chapter. So if there's one thing you can tell attendees, it's that right there. That's the most important thing. We will have a flying club formation checklist on hand to hand out. It'll be a nice little notebook with a checklist stuffed in it for people to take away that are interested in forming a flying club. We'll also have a flying club FAQ handout that'll be on a counter there too that you're more than welcome to hand out to people. You can always direct people to eaa.org/flying clubs. On there, this will all be posted on the wall, but I threw it in the PowerPoint anywho. You'll be able to find sample documents for forming a flying club. EAA has a flying club manual. We're hoping to have some limited hard copies on hand if we can get them printed in time. We have some benefits and discounts for flying clubs that are formed by EAA members, and also information on becoming a separate nonprofit. We'll also have some flying club forums throughout the week, and you'll be able to find those on the schedule I'll be doing both of those forums, and of course I can't remember when they are off the top of my head right now, but that will be posted on the forum schedule. Now transitioning over to Flying Start. I'm sure many of you have heard of Flying Start before. It was actually a program that EAA originally went to unroll in the late 90s, but it kind of fell apart. And we thought, with the advent of the Eagle Flight program, this would be a great opportunity to reintroduce it. So Flying Start, again, it's a new initiative to help chapters engage the local community and introduce new individuals to aviation. Flying Start is an event that'll be hosted by chapters at their local airport. During the event, there will be a presentation. That material is provided by EAA. EAA will also provide marketing materials to the chapters so that they can, print off posters and rack cards and things like that, and different web-based ads. Event highlights participation options via flight training and joining the local chapter. So the goal of these events is to bring in people from the community and help break down the barriers for learning to fly, and of course, bringing them into the local chapter. All participants will receive a free EAA trial membership, and the event will be capped off with a free Eagle flight. Again, there will be some forums highlighting this program throughout the week. Kyle Volts will be putting those on. Again, you can check out the schedule to see when those are. I encourage all of you guys to hopefully check out one of those forums for this and flying clubs to see how you might be able to take advantage of that at the local level. Because Eagle Flights is such an integral part of Flying Start, that area will be right next to the Flying Start portion of the barn. Again, the Eagle Flight program, as many of you know, is the mentorship program to help individuals earn their pilot certificate. Provides members with a free intro flight, and after the flight, participants learn more about how to get involved in their local aviation community, including the next steps to becoming a pilot. And this is really dependent upon our volunteers in making sure that this whole process happens. But again, the Eagle Flights will be a huge part of the Flying Start program. Now transitioning to the southwest corner of the building, we will have a little wing kiosk highlighting the IMC and VMC Club, which is a relatively new program for EAA chapters. It's a program that chapters can adopt. There must be a coordinator for both, whether it's the IMC or the VMC Club. Both are predicated on organized hangar flying that uses real-world scenarios. The IMC Club, of course, focuses on IFR flying or instrument flying, and the VMC Club focuses primarily on VFR flying and flying by visual flight rules. So more, aircraft performance specific, or weather issues and things like that. EAA does provide all of the presentation materials to groups that adopt this programming on a monthly basis, and these programs do qualify for FAA Wings credits. Radek, who is the program manager for IMC and VMC clubs, will be on hand to do a forum. Again, you can find that on the forum schedule. Also in that back corner, because of the 1 week wonder this year, we thought it'd be great to highlight how chapters can support the home building member of their chapter. So in that corner, we're going to highlight our safety programs, or what I'm calling our home builder programs that chapters can use. And that is our Tech Counselor program and our Flight Advisor program. The Tech Counselor program, it's assists members with building and ensures safe construction. These individuals must be certified by EAA, but they can then become, a representative for the chapter. Same as a flight advisor, these folks assist fellow members with phase 1 flight testing of their home builds, or even transitioning to a new and unique aircraft, whether it's, an experimental, an ultralight, a vintage aircraft, whatever it may be. These individuals must also be certified by EAA before they are considered a representative for the local chapter. So the centerpiece for this year's Blue Barn is our tool crib and workshop space. Again, the idea for highlighting this area is, again, because of the strong one-week wonder presence during convention, is we wanted to help chapters highlight some of the opportunities that exist for having a tool crib for members to borrow tools from, or a workshop space for members to work on their projects in. So like I said, highlight what chapters can do with a tool crib or workshop. Chapter 640 from Wausau, Wisconsin, they have a Learn, Build, Fly program, and they are going to come in and highlight their Whitman, I believe it's very similar to Whitman Buttercup project. It's a small variation of that, but they'll be on hand with part of their project, just like the chapter with the RV12 build was on hand last year, to discuss their build program, how it got started, how they operated, and hopefully share some ideas with fellow attendees here at AirVenture. They'll pretty much be able to hopefully talk about that themselves, so the volunteers shouldn't have to worry too much about discussing that project. However, one of the major components of the tool crib is going to be a tool giveaway for chapters. This will be a daily drawing. Each chapter can enter one time throughout the week, and there will be about five prizes drawn daily, and then the grand prizes will be announced on Saturday at the chapter leaders breakfast. There will be a Lincoln TIG welder as one of the main prizes, a big Cobalt drill press, an air compressor with some air tools, as well as some tool cabinets. If a chapter shows up that's interested in entering, you can bring them right over there. We'll have a couple ticket books for each chapter. There will be a specific ticket, and we'll of course organize those numerically. So for example, if chapter 252 shows up, you can flip to chapter 252 in the book. That individual will just have to fill in their name, and then there will be a perforated ticket where that individual will fill out their name, email, and phone number. We'll go ahead and rip that portion of the ticket off and drop it in the ticket bin. However, the other half of the ticket will remain in the book. That way, if an individual from that same chapter arrives later in the week and says, "Hey, I'd like to enter to win the tools for our chapter," you flip to it, you say, "Oh, someone already entered for chapter 252. It looks like that was Michelle Coons. Michelle Coons entered for the chapter, so if you guys win anything, she'll be the one that we contact." So very, very cool opportunity for chapters. We'll have all of the rules and such posted, so you can reference those at any time, as well as the giveaway schedule will be posted there. So again, a very cool opportunity, and be sure to enter your chapter. So just in front of that tool crib is going to be what I'll call the main desk area. Again, it'll be a little bit smaller than last year, but this will be the location where we'll have a lot of collateral for chapters and Young Eagles, some of the flyers and brochures and things like that. This would be a place where you'll field very broad questions. Looks like my PowerPoint didn't save correctly, so you can disregard the everything below collateral for chapters and Young Eagles. I was having some computer issues the other day. But of course, you can expect to answer questions about, basically anything that, involves chapters and Young Eagles, and we'll have some binders up there for you to reference for anything you may be unsure about. I'm sure you'll get some questions on the closest restrooms, which is, if it's the same as last year, there will be some portalettes located just across the street from the Blue Barn. Of course, we'll have some maps and things like that up there because, folks are inevitably going to question about things like that. So again, should be a spot where it's just very general questions, and, feel free to pass along people as you see fit. The forums area will be in the same location as last year, right in the very back. We're doing a little bit of work to help deaden the sound back there. I know the acoustics were a bit of an issue in the Blue Barn last year, so we're going to be installing some sound absorbent foam frames that hopefully help keep that sound held back in that area. Of course, forums will be daily regarding chapters and Young Eagles. The forums will be hosted by staff members and chapter members and Young Eagle volunteers. We put a strong emphasis on making sure that the forums were put on by peer members. Again, because the members typically have the best fix for some problems or the best real world view on some things that it's a lot more impactful when you have chapter members that are actually on hand to give these presentations. The schedule will be posted around the barn and in your binders. So again, you can always reference that at any time. We'll have a weekly schedule hanging in the back and out front. We'll also have a daily schedule that will update. So you'll be able to find all that information very quickly. There will also be a couple of tax consultation meetings back in one of the meeting rooms. Patty Arthur did a number of these consultation meetings last year, and she'll be doing them again this year. They will be Monday through Wednesday. Like I said, Patty will be using the meeting room next to the break room, so try to avoid that area between, I'd say 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Monday through Wednesday she'll be there. There's Patty right there. So if you see Patty and someone approaches you and says, "Hi, I'm here for a meeting with Patty Arthur or a chapter tax meeting," look for Patty and direct them to her, or go ahead and direct them to that meeting room right in the back. If you have any questions, someone shows up and they needed to cancel an appointment or they're looking for an appointment, you can of course let Patty know. Otherwise, feel free to give me a call. That's my cell phone number right there. And I'll be able to help out with that as well. Here's a list of some of the go-to staff members for the different areas. Of course, Young Eagles and Eagle Flights. If Brett Steffen, Brian Olina, or Michelle Coons is around, those will be your on-staff folks to talk to you about those things. For chapters, John Egan, myself, Kyle Volts, and Serena Camps. Myself, John, and Kyle will be there the most, but Serena may be in and out throughout the week. She also helps quite a bit with our Sport Air workshop stuff. Flying Start, Kyle Volts and John Egan are going to be the two best staff members for that. Myself, David will be a good go-to for flying clubs. And then if any forum speakers have any questions or concerns, you can also direct them to me, as I helped coordinate some of the forums this year. So there's, again, just a quick high-level overview of what volunteering this year will look like for the Blue Barn and Member Center. Happy to take any questions right now. Again, we will have this posted so you can rewatch it at your convenience. And if she has not already, Michelle has some information she'll be emailing you, and there will also be a lot of information included within the volunteer packet that you'll pick up at the beginning of the week.
Okay, David. Hey, this is Tim again, and let's see. John just wanted to say that John and Becky are with us from Sebring and EAA Chapter 1240. Arnie Zimmerman says, thank you so much for the presentation. We are so excited to help out.
Absolutely.
Don't have any questions yet. We got 26 people tuned in, though, so
good.
Get some questions out there.
And because you mentioned John Roush, Tim, I'll just mention many of you may know John, or you'll get to know him during AirVenture. He's also a great go-to for flying club stuff. I know there's not a ton of people that have experience with flying clubs, but John is one of those folks that is a great go-to volunteer for anything regarding that, as well as youth programs. They also have a great youth program down there.
Okay, Steve and Carol McCabe say thank you. Okay, so we got Richard says first-time volunteer, first day on Sunday, day 0. Is there a parking pass available for volunteers?
That is a good question, and I will have to loop back with Michelle on that. I don't believe that there is, especially on Sunday, but I will check with Michelle on that. She has handled all of the fulfillment stuff, and we will get back to you right away.
Okay. Ted says that Ted Kirkpatrick says, I will be hosting a Young Eagle volunteer get-together at my site immediately behind Theater in the Woods on Monday afternoon beginning at 5:30 p.m. Potluck meal.
Awesome.
John
then,
is... Oh, go ahead, David.
I was just going to say, speaking of events throughout the week, I didn't include it in here, but there will be a lot of the same events throughout the week as in years past. Of course, Young Eagles luncheon earlier in the week, and then the Young Eagles dinner on Wednesday evening. There will be a chapter leaders corn roast on Sunday evening. So if you're a current leader of an EAA chapter and you'd like to attend, go ahead and shoot me an email and we'll get you signed up. And then there will, of course, be the chapter leaders breakfast on Saturday morning. And then also throughout the week at the chapters pavilion inside Camp Scholler, there will be a daily pancake breakfast hosted by a different EAA chapter. EAA is going to do all the work to supply the consumables and the food and the facility. The chapter is just going to come in and volunteer to cook and serve, and it'll be $7 for a nice hot pancake breakfast right inside the campground. So make sure to check that out as well.
Okay, Richard says, I'll be at the corn roast Sunday evening. Hope to see you there.
We'll see you there, Richard.
John's wondering, hi, David, I never heard any more about an EAA Air Tours forum for chapters this year. Is there going to be one that you know of?
So great question, John. We really wanted to have an Air Tours forum. Unfortunately, just with the busyness of the week, I don't think we were able to coordinate one. We did have one last year, but we will have some. We can have some printed material on, the Air Tour stuff, so we'll have that on hand as well.
Cool. Steve's wondering, will we have Young Eagle 10 packs to give out?
I believe Michelle was preparing some of those. Unfortunately, she couldn't. She was going to be joining me today, but she actually got food poisoning over the weekend. So send your best wishes to Michelle for a quick recovery. But that's another one I'll have to check with Michelle with. She was handling some of that stuff.
And Amy is wondering, one thought about the chapter winner/entry. Will the chapter pres be informed of a win rather than the chapter member?
So we are going to hopefully notify both if we can get a hold of the president. We understand that sometimes the president isn't in attendance and a different member will have to be a representative. But we are going to do some, cover multiple bases when we draw a winner to make sure that, yes, indeed, this is going for a chapter purpose and the chapter can use this, in our facility or in our tool crib. So great question.
All right. Well, we're out of questions. We need some more questions, folks. So whatever comes to your mind, type it in here. We got a little bit of time here. I'll drag it out here. That's too bad about Michelle. Boy, that sounds awful. I know she's out yesterday and today. So
yeah.
Yuck.
So yeah, like I said,
All right.
Michelle will be the perfect go-to for any of the Young Eagles related questions, and then obviously Brian, and then myself and John will be chapter specific things. We can usually do a pretty good job of cross-pollinating and answering questions on both sides, but once we start getting specific, we'll be the go-tos.
Cool. Steve's wondering, as in the past, will there be a daily Young Eagles drawing?
I believe that is the plan. Yep. So that'll also be up at the front counter there.
Okay. And John's wondering, where is the corn roast?
The chapter leaders corn roast is going to be at the Camp Scholler Chapters Pavilion, and that is located just behind the Fly Mart. Actually, you can probably see it on the map in one of these earlier slides. If I can get there. So if you look at the map on screen where it says the Fly Market, and then you'll see Paul's Woods right across from the Fly Market. It's located right at that intersection of Forest Home Avenue and Shike Road right there. So
could you use your cursor maybe to show us where that is, David?
Yeah,
Hard time following you there.
right there.
Oh, sweet. It showed up circled in red. Okay,
Perfect.
thanks.
Yeah, sorry, it's not a great circle, but it'll be right at that corner there, at the northwest corner of Paul's Woods, kitty corner from the Red Barn Camp Store.
Is that where the new chapter pavilion is?
Yep. So that's where the corn roast and breakfast will be.
And
is
that
there
where
will
they'll
also
be?
Yep, they'll
Go
be
ahead.
roasting corn on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday evening as well. So if you're roaming back to your campsite or out of the grounds, feel free to swing by and grab an ear of corn. That will also be a fundraiser for the chapter that's hosting.
Yeah, that's a good location for going to and from the convention from the campground. Yeah, that'd be awesome. All right. Well, we're out of questions. Mary asked again about 10 packs. I guess just to clarify about 10 pack for Young Eagles.
Yeah, I will. Again, I'll check with Michelle on that, and we're going to send a follow-up email to the webinar, and we'll include any questions that went unanswered. We'll have the answers in there, so the whole group is made aware.
Okay, David. Well, we're out of questions here, so why don't you go ahead and wrap it up for everybody?
All right. Thanks again, guys, for joining us this afternoon over the lunch hour for many of you, and thanks again for taking time out of your week at Oshkosh to volunteer with us. Again, we're really excited for the week. Can't wait to see everyone get here and watch the grounds come to life, and should be another great year.
Awesome. Hey, thanks a lot, David. Great presentation. And for everybody who tuned in, thanks a lot. I hope you learned a lot, and have a good, safe trip to Oshkosh and a wonderful time while you're here. Have a good day, everybody.